Bum 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 bum.
Tomatoes?
Hello, welcome to video 4, Unreal Concepts, a Storyteller Object, or JRPG text. Let's go ahead and run through the quick little example here, and I'll show you what I mean by this. So we'll hit play, and it's pretty simple. I got my little dude on the screen. I got two buttons. I hit Test the Storyteller, and it's going to show me some text. It's going to wait a little bit, and it's going to do the same for the next line. It's going to do that for all three lines. And if you notice, it's basically looking like a typewriter where it's slowly typing it out, or it's something like a JRPG where it slowly shows the text on screen. And then at the end there, it actually quit. And it quit because I have a callback or dispatcher set up, so that way it will, you can do something when it's done. It's intended to be an independent object, so that way you just drop it in your scene, set it up, and then when you want it to do something, you send it text, and when it's done, it tells you it's done. So let's take a look at it. Remember, this is a concept. This is intended just to show something working. All the code is available on the description. It's available on the GitHub. And, well, let's see what happens. Let's see how many times I can say so. And I was about to say so. Anyways, this is the object I'm talking about. Everything else in here is just for example purposes. The only thing that matters is our storyteller itself. It's an actor blueprint, so I can put it in the scene, and I've got a billboard so we can actually look at it. It has two options in the setup. We have a delay between lines, basically after the line is completed, how long before the next line, and then a delay between letters, how long between each letter. So I can show you this, for example. Let's say we did 0.1. Let's do it really annoying. We'll do half a second. We'll hit play and test. Half a second between each one. We also could do it much quicker, and we'll do 0.05. Oh, that's too many points there. We'll hit play, and we'll hit test, and there you go. It's got a 0.05 delay. Now, delay between lines is the delay between each line. We do something like 5 and hit play and test it. Once the first line's done, it'll wait 5 seconds, and then the second line will pop up. I also have an option here called Finish Now, where I click it, and the line finishes immediately, and then any delay will delay. I'll show you again. Boom. Instantly done. That's for the setup itself. Let's see how it works. So it's intended to be, I knew I was going to do so a lot. It's intended to be self-contained. Basically, it has a few events that you will talk to it, call the event, pass in some information, and then it'll handle everything from there. Basically, inside of my example, let's pull up my example here. Here's my tester. My tester has two buttons. The first button, basically, where's my first button? Oh, that's right here, duh. My first button basically gets access to the storyteller object, tells the storyteller object it wants to bind an event, so that way it knows when it's done, and the event's called all text done. And then it calls start storyteller with an array of text, and that array of text is what I want displayed. So I have, for example, I could add another pin here and do this is our lost world, line 4. And now I'm going to pass along 4 lines, and 4 lines will show up. Looking at the events themselves are pretty simple. Start storyteller is just a simple event that's going to pass off the actual running to the blueprint itself. Takes in a text to display node array here, sets the array so we keep it internally into a local reference, and then runs the run storyteller. Now the run storyteller node itself is pretty simple. We have this designed so that way it is self-contained. Basically, it's going to determine if it should do something if it should, and then repeat on itself until it's done. And then once it's done, it's going to go ahead and let the caller know it's done. And the intention of this is so that way it's basically fire and forget. You don't have to worry about anything happening. You don't have to worry about anything else going on. You don't have to worry about things going wrong. You just basically fire it, it forgets, it takes care of itself, and it's running everything on a tick, not a tick. It's not running on a tick. It's running on a stupid opposite of a timer, so that way it's performant and it does things at the appropriate time. So let's look at how it works. We have an iterator. This is just a number that increments itself appropriately, and it keeps track of where we are in our array. By default, it's set to -1, so that way when it starts, we go to the first line of the array. We're going to go ahead and see if our current iterator is greater than the length of our array. So have we run out of lines, basically? Are we done displaying all of our text? We're going to assume we're not. This is the first time we run through it. So now we're going to see, do we need to delay this line? Is our iterator greater than 0? Have we done anything yet? Have we shown a line? If we've shown a line, then we're going to go and delay, because we've shown a line, now we're going to wait, and then we're going to show another line. But if this is our first time through, well, we don't want the player to wait before it displays the text because we told it to display the text. So once we're done with our delay or not, we clear out our block, because if we don't, well, then we're just going to have this massive train of text. We reset our finish text boolean. Basically, this is whether or not we need to finish the text now or not. And you'll see how that comes into play in a second. We set our current string, so we basically talk to our array, get which string we're supposed to be showing based on the iterator, or where we're at in our loop, and we set it to our current string to display. It's just a temporary holding variable, so we don't have to keep accessing the array itself. And then we call the display text function, and this is where all of our magic happens. And it's also a giant jumble of mess. Our display text function is pretty simple. Its goal is to figure out where we're at on our string, add on the next character, delay if needed, and then repeat until we're done with that line. Once we're done, we tell the storyteller, okay, we're done, and we do it to the next string, and then we repeat over and over. But this is basically recursion. We're basically calling ourselves after we're done, so that way we don't need a timer to fire off, and we don't have to wait, and we're not really dependent on the tick and things like that. We're using a timer to basically call ourselves, so we're not basically stuck in a loop, and we have the ability to escape at any point. And I'll show you that here. So the first thing we do when we come in is we set our text block to the current position of our text. This one's pretty simple. We're getting what we currently have now. We're getting the next text we want, and then we're appending it to what we currently have. So in the case of our example here, we have, this is a story about how my life got flipped, turned upside down. The first time through, it's going to append T, our first character here. Let's zoom in, here we go. To our current string, which is blank. So our first one is going to be T. The next time through, we're going to have T. It's going to get the next variable, which is an H, and now we have TH. And that's how it works. It basically takes what we currently have and adds the next one and repeats all the way through till we're done. So now that we have our current one, what we're going to show, we're going to want to check, has our player told us we want to finish immediately? Have they clicked the button in my example, or maybe you have it set up to a hotkey? If they do, all we're doing is really simple. We're saying, okay, take what we're supposed to display and put it on the screen. We're done. We don't need to delay. Boom, pop it on the screen, and then go ahead and tell our storyteller to advance the story. If not, if we want it to continue on normally, we're basically going to see, are we done? If we're done, well, then tell the storyteller to advance. If we're not done, well, here's where the magic happens. Basically, call ourselves again, this display text node, after our delay between letters. That's it. We're basically going to grab what we want, determine if we should show it or not, show it if we should, and then repeat by waiting and then grabbing the next letter and repeating over and over until we're done. Once we're done, we go back to our graph, we run the storyteller node again. And all this one does is, okay, go to the next line and repeat. Do we delay, etc., and then boom, display text. And that right there, this event and that node basically controls the entire thing. That's it. Now in terms of finishing now, I have a simple button here. When I push the button, I talk to my storyteller and I tell it to finish the current line now. All it's doing is setting my Boolean to true. So that way the next time we run through here, our next character is displayed, it's going to see if we should stop, and if it should stop, it finishes immediately. That's honestly it. I can look through here. We've covered all of this stuff here. All we're doing here is basically creating my widget, and my widget is this, which is just a text box. All we're doing is creating our widget and getting access to the block, so that way we know where we're going to add the text to. And let's see, that's all we did there. We've already covered this stuff. We've covered our function. Our storyteller itself is just a text block, and our tester is just telling it what to do. And that's it. I'll run through it here. We test it. It runs through the text, repeats over and over, delays between each letter, waits our 5 seconds because that's what I set it up to, decides to do the next one, repeats over and over, waits our 5 seconds, and then it'll repeat a third time. Now, here's what happens when we get done. We go to our storyteller and we go to here. And we go back to here and we have one called call all text done. This is an event dispatcher. Basically, hopefully you know what event dispatchers are. If not, this is a... Oh, crap, I forgot the stupid easy way of explaining this. But anyways, if you've created an event dispatcher, people can subscribe to the event dispatcher. When they subscribe to it, whenever basically this call is done, or a tweet, let's go with Twitter, there we go. This is Twitter. This is my Twitter handle. If you subscribe to my Twitter handle, when I post something, by calling it, you get notified. So inside of our tester, we are subscribing to your Twitter and telling it when we subscribe and you tweet, I want to do this. And for my example, I'm quitting the game. That way we know it works. In here, you'd have something else such as you entered your story, you entered your cutscene, you fire off your text. When the cutscene's over, you give the control back to the player, for example. Hey, you know what? That might be fun. Here, let's see. I have it set to UI only. Let's do something here. Let me pull up my map again. Let me open up my blueprint. Let's add widget to viewport and give my player control. And play. Now I should, yep, okay, I can control. We need a storyteller tester. There we go. There we go. So now I have control and I can move around. Okay. Let's go into here before we break everything. And we are going to bind, there we go. So we'll move this text over. And what we're going to do is when let's rename this custom event, make it easier. Control player. There we go. Let's see. Get player controller, and then it's disable, right? Disable input. There we go. Controller. Stop it. And get control on. As our target. There we go. Okay, let's see if this works before I go on. Okay, good. I have no control over my character. That's what we wanted. And let's try to make this less. Oh my god, it's so ugly. Oops. Gotta make sure it's cool, or you get people yelling at you. There we go, we'll consider cleanup. Okay, so we disable the input, and we pull him back over here now. So now once we start our dialogue, our player can no longer move. Now once our dialogue is done, what we're going to do is get our player controller, enable input again. Oh, I should have just dragged these two. This is our target. This is our controller. Give him input again. Okay, so let's see how this works. Let me go back to my storyteller. 5 seconds is too much of a delay. So let's do 2 seconds between each one. Let's do a 0.0 1. Let's go and hit play. We'll test the storyteller. I can't move my character. We got text going through. Wait for the story to finish. I have 4 lines now, don't forget, because I added 1. Once it's done, oh, now my character can move again. And if I do test the storyteller again, oh, I lost control. Now, this is obviously an issue because... I wonder why this is an issue. See what happens when you don't test stuff? We've already gotten it. We've assigned it. We've bound it. We've disabled it. I started my storyteller. I set my text. This is why. My array iterator is never resetting itself to 0. So have a small issue here. So this is why we test and break crap. We need to reset our array iterator when our text is done. So we're going to set this back to -1. And if I guessed right, we fixed it. So we can't move and our text is going through. And our text is going through. I probably should have removed the 4th line. And I have input back again. We'll go ahead and test it again. Oh, our story's coming back and my text is gone. So there you go. So as long as you basically could create index somewhere, and that index could be full of your story. You could pull it in from a CSV or something like that. And basically all you'd have to do is start your storyteller with whatever you're doing. So if you have an array of an array, for example, array of, you can do an array and array, right? I can't remember if I can do an array and array. Let's find out. I can't remember if I can. I don't think you can, right? Can you do an array of an array? You can't do an array of an array, right? Man, see what happens when I randomly try stuff out. No, because you shouldn't be able to, right? Because this array is just going to be, it's an array of text. I can't do an array of array. That's just going to simply set it, is all it's going to do, instead of making it. Okay. So you'd basically be able to pull in text from somewhere. You could do a data table, not data table, frick's sake, a struct. A struct? Yeah, you can do an struct. You can have a struct which has an array of text in it, and each of those will be the line. That would probably be the smarter way. Oh, screw it. I like doing stuff at random. Let's see, blueprint, structure. This is going to be my dialogue trees. That was a horribly named thing. And we'll do a new variable. We'll call this one text, an array of text. And then our first one is going to be the, we'll call it ID, why not? Call it integer. There we go. I don't know if that'll work, why not? We'll go back to our tester. Let's see, we'll do this one, our dialogue array. And this one is going to be, what do we call that one? Dialogue struct? Dialogue trees, there we go. There we go. And then we'll go ahead and pull this one in here. Actually, we can just set it in here. There we go, see? So now we have 2 elements. We'll call this one ID1, ID2. And 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I know, super creative. And we'll go with like super duper, duper super. There we go. So now we have that. So we could grab our dialogue array. We could get 0, split it out because all we care about is that one. I guess we could get by ID. The ID is probably going to match. We don't even need an ID. That was silly. We just wanted something full of arrays like that. So we'll do something like this, and we'll do test iterator. We'll call this an integer. Bam, like that. And we'll plug that into there. And first time we come through here. Ooh, actually, let's do it here. There we go. set test iterator. Oh, not set. We're going to increment it. That'll make it easier. Increment. There we go. So the first time we run through, this is going to be 0. The second time it's going to run through, it's going to be run. And in theory, if I didn't do something completely stupid, we should get 4 lines of text with the ability for the player not to move. Then the player should be able to move. We'll have 3 lines of text. We can test it again, and we should get the second one. Super duper, duper super. There we go. So that was a way we changed it over. I used a struct, and we now have a array full of dialogue, which contains strings, which you can display any you need. So then you map out your dialogue appropriately. Obviously, this is just, again, it's a concept that I just went extra on, and this is a way of sending it. That's for testing purposes. And that's pretty much it. That is going to wrap up the video for Storyteller Object. It's intended just to show you a concept of a quick little typewriter / JRPG text. All the source code, again, is available on the GitHub. It's linked in the description. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them or ask me. And that's it.